The table saw is such an important tool in any shop, but mistakes are so easily made and they can have disastrous consequences, both physically and probably mentally. Here's 10 mistakes to avoid on the table saw, and number 10 gives me the heebies and the jeebies just thinking about it. Whew. For rip cuts, it's really important to have a push block or a push stick like this one to keep your fingers out of the way of the blade. Most likely your saw will come with a push stick like this, and mine is a little beat up at this point. And these push sticks are pretty good at the forward pressure, pushing your workpiece through the blade, but they're not great at downward pressure or pressure against the rip fence. It's okay at downward pressure on the back of the board, but I want more pressure a little bit more towards the front of the board, and it's not very good at pressure against the rip fence, so I wouldn't recommend using this as your primary push stick. Never stand directly behind the blade in your workpiece when you're making a cut. If there is kickback for some reason, you don't want to be in the line of fire where that board is going to come back and hit you. And for how tall I am, that would be particularly bad. Never, and I mean never, freehand a cut on the table saw. This is not a freehand tool. If you do find yourself needing to use a freehand tool, use the circular saw or the jigsaw. Those are great for freehand cuts. Never use the rip fence when you're cutting a board that's wider than it is long when you're cutting it. It's really easy for the side of this board to not stay flush against the rip fence. So what can happen is as you're cutting it, it can get a little tippy and come off the rip fence, causing kickback. And again, never stand directly behind the workpiece because that would be very bad, especially with a hefty board like this. For cross-cutting those narrower boards, use a miter gauge, and one always comes with your table saw if you buy it new. Or if you've built a crosscut sled, you can use that as well. And I think the crosscut sled is a fantastic jig to have in the shop. A must-have, if you will. When you're pushing your workpiece through the blade, it's really important to have 3 points of pressure. You want pressure down so you keep your workpiece flat on the tabletop. You want pressure going forward to push it through the blade. And you also want pressure against the rip fence so you can keep that workpiece against your fence. So pressure going towards your right as well. You don't need to white knuckle your push stick, pushing really hard down and to the right and forward, because if you push down too much, you can tip your push stick, and if you push too far to the right, your push stick can move. So just solid amounts of pressure down, forward, and against your rip fence. Don't apply any force with your outside hand on the board when it's next to the blade. There are 3 main types of blades for the table saw. There are ripping blades, there are general purpose blades, and cross-cutting blades. The difference between these blades is how many teeth they have. The ripping blade has the least amount of teeth, generally 24, and is great for ripping boards on your table saw. The cross-cutting blade has the most teeth, generally 60 or 80 teeth. This one's 80 teeth, and is great for cross-cutting boards on your table saw. That's cutting against the grain. And in the middle we have the general purpose blade. Now this blade has about 40 teeth. This one has exactly 40 teeth and is in between the ripping blade and the cross-cutting blade in terms of tooth count. This one's great if you do some cross-cutting, some ripping, and you don't want to switch blades every time you switch task. The general purpose blade is solid. Here's a little closer look of the different tooth counts. On the ripping blade we have 24, general purpose 40 teeth, and then this 80 tooth cross-cutting blade has 80 teeth, but 60 tooth would also work really well for cross-cutting. Now the number of teeth is the most important thing when you're choosing a blade, but also there's the tooth profile which can affect your project as well. And if you're like, Thomas, I just want to cut some wood, I want to make some simple projects, I don't think I need to know about tooth profile, that's fine. This is a little more advanced, but there are probably going to be times in the future where tooth profile will matter. On most table saw blades, the teeth are going to be angled, and that makes for a really clean cut. But there are times when you may want to have a flat tooth grind. If you're making a dado or rabbet with your regular single blade, or making a spline or some type of joinery where you need the cut to be nice and flat, you'll want a flat tooth grind. Will your joinery still work if you have the angled tooth grind? Yes, but the flat tooth will make for a better fit. Just something to think about as you go forward. Before you make any cuts, we gotta make sure your blade height is correct and your blade angle is correct. I like to have the highest tooth on my blade about 1/4 inch above my workpiece. So as you see, when I put my 3/4 inch thick piece of wood here, this is much too high, so we're gonna need to lower it. I'm measuring the tallest tooth, and this is still a little high, so I'm gonna lower it, and there we go. To find the angle of your blade, you can use a digital angle finder, but I don't always trust those. If you look on a lot of the brand's websites, they'll say they have a 0.2 margin of error. So that means if it says your blade's at 90 degrees, it could be at 89.8 degrees or 90.2 degrees, which could be problematic depending on what you're building. I'll still show you how those work, but I'll show you another method that I trust a little more. You'll put this down on your tabletop and press the 0 button to zero it out. And then you'll put it on your saw blade, and you see here it's 90.2. It's pretty close. You can adjust it if you want. I like to use a machinist square because these are really accurate when seeing if my blade is 90. You just want to make sure you don't put the square on the tooth. You put it off of the tooth, and then this is a great way to see if your blade's at 90 degrees. You just want to make sure you have an accurate square, and machinist squares are very, very accurate. Always envision and even motion your cut before you actually make the cut with the saw on. This will allow you to avoid any obstacles you may have been unaware of before you motioned your cut. I really do like to motion my cuts before I make them. It has helped me avoid problems multiple times when using the table saw. Here's why you never want to use your miter gauge and your rip fence at the same time. If you're thinking, hey, I can just use my rip fence to act as a stop block for repeatable cuts using my miter gauge, if you're thinking that, get that thought out of your head right now. What can happen is when you're making your cut and you're going through, this piece can get stuck between your rip fence and your blade, and then it will shoot back at you, which we call kickback. So to avoid kickback and to avoid that happening, never use your miter gauge with your rip fence. What you can do instead is you can clamp a piece of wood to your rip fence well behind the blade, and then you can set your piece to this exact length that you set up, and then as you're pushing it through, now it's not going to get stuck between the blade and the rip fence, causing it to kick back because there's a little space here. So this is one way that you could get repeatable cuts with your miter gauge. You can also make repeatable cuts with your miter gauge by attaching a long piece of plywood with a couple of screws and then clamping a small piece of wood to that plywood to act as a stop block. If you want to learn everything there is to know about using the 7 most common power tools in woodworking, which includes the table saw, I have a digital course called Master Your Power Tools. That course is on my website, thomaswoodworkingacademy.com, and I'll put a link to that site in the description below. I'll see you over there.